Hello and welcome to the second devlog of my CityBuilder game set in a fantasy world without magic, where you will be leading a nation, eventually. First of all, I would like to thank you all for the comments and likes and also the views, as it's the most viewed video on the channel and the most viewed video I've ever made. But anyways, in the previous video I've established the basics of the game, like terrain generation and the building aspect, while in this episode I will be adding a complex economy to the game as well as giving some life to the NPCs. But before I start with that, I'll quickly go over all the smaller changes I've added before starting to work on the economy. The first thing I did was I added an actual way to choose the seed you will play on. When you input a number, the game takes that as a seed when you generate the world. You can also input letters, which the game will automatically translate into numbers, and if you leave the input field blank, then the game will generate a random seed. And then I made the NPCs not stack at one tree when going to chop it down. This simple thing took a few hours, only for me to realize it was one line of code doing all the problems. But now it works as intended. I also did the same thing for the bush. And now onto the economy. I want it to work something like this. The money goes in a circle, so each NPC will have their own wallet. When they pay for something, the customer will lose money while the NPC that's selling stuff will earn. The player, meanwhile, will earn money through the taxes they place upon their people and lose it by paying those employed NPCs. I started doing that by adding a UI element where you can see the NPC's stats. You can access them by clicking on the NPC. Currently that's not doing anything, so I've changed that. Now the game will show actual amount of money the NPC has, their name, workplace and residence. But currently the NPC can only be unemployed and homeless. They cannot earn or lose their money, and let's change that. First I've started to work on the residential buildings and I've added the same stats screen to the building itself. After that I made it possible for the NPC to move into any available building. As you can see, the houses have a limit and the NPCs won't move in if it's reached. And then I've just remade this function for the industrial buildings. And now these basics are done, so I could actually add resources to the game, and currently the only resources I've added are logs. To showcase this, I've added a storage system to the game where the lumberyard has an internal storage. So I've made a log appear after a tree has been chopped down, and the NPC will go and pick it up, carry it over to the lumberyard where they will store it. And as you can see, they will prioritize chopping trees down rather than collecting logs. It's actually kind of satisfying looking at them clear out a chunk of the forest. After that I made a 3D model for the basket of berries, and since I didn't really want to work on the game for a little while, I decided to just make a lot of assets for it. Now back to the game. I've made the characters be able to collect the berries of bushes, and they deliver it to the new building, the granary. The granary is currently considered an industry building, but between this and the next devlog I will change that to be its own building type. You may have already noticed that the trees generate a bit differently. That's because I've added Perly noise to the tree generator, which means that the game will now generate forests and plains. This now allows me to generate a bigger map with a bit more FPS, so now we go from 10 by 10 maps to 15 by 15. In the future I will also change it so the berries generate inside of the forests. They will still generate in the plains, but they will be more common in the forests. And after that I've added a market stall you can build. It's currently just a reskinned granary. So that's what I've decided to change next by making the NPC carry items from the granary to the market stall. As you can see, currently the NPC delivers the resource to the storage and then immediately carries it over to the market. In the future I will change that. And then I wanted to make the NPC actually use the market, and to do that I first needed to add needs to the NPC. So now the NPC has a hunger need and can also die from it. In the future I will remove the UI that shows you how hungry the NPC is, as the UI is just for debugging purposes, which is the same reason the NPC's hunger depletes so fast. And after that I made the NPC look for a market stall if their hunger depletes to 25, and after finding it they will go there and buy some food, which they will eat immediately. Currently it doesn't look the best, so I've decided to change that by having an NPC that sells these items at the stall. The buyer comes to him and buys the item, the money of which is then stored in the wallet of the stall. All the money the stall accumulates is then added to the NPC's wallet after their shift is over. And now I've decided to add taxes to the game, and I want these taxes to be taken from the NPCs every in-game month. So that is why I needed to add a calendar to the game. Along with it I have added a treasury and a population meter. Currently the only thing that works are the treasury and the population meters. For the calendar only the UI works. Time doesn't go by, so no days go by, etc. I've implemented the calendar to the game soon after that. I've also added a slider that represents the current time of day. And after that I've added the taxes to the game. The NPCs will now pay 5 coins to your treasury at the beginning of every month. But having fixed taxes is not so fun. That's why I've decided to add an economy view to the game. Here you can see the earnings and expenses you had at the beginning of the month. Earnings being taxes and expenses being paychecks for the NPCs. Here you can set your taxes, from 0 to 100 coins per month. In the future I will change this to be a percentage, but it's alright with these fixed rates for now. That will probably come when I rewrite the whole code for the NPCs, because I've written it really poorly. It's buggy but good for now. Only now did I realize something. With the way the economy is currently set up, you will either let your citizens starve while earning money, or you will let the government lose money and go bankrupt while the citizens get richer. The money goes in a circle. I mean, I did intend it like that in your country, but there needs to be some way to earn money that's not just taking from your citizens. That is precisely why I added a port to the game. The port generates you passive income. But in the future it will work more like how it's in Tropico, where you have to export resources every few months to generate money. But currently it works something like this. After a random amount of seconds you get a random amount of money. Currently the amount of time it takes is between 15 and 40 seconds, while the amount of money is 25 and 100. You know what? I've grown a bit bored of the capsules that represent the citizens currently in the game. So that's what I did next. I replaced those capsules by adding an actual character model. This video took so long to make because of this character model. Because I had to sculpt it, retopology it, or however it's pronounced, and also animate it. So I present to you this kobold model. I've actually wanted to have a human alongside it, but the human got scrapped for the time being because this model just took so long to make. And as you can see, the kobold doesn't really fit the game's current art style. So in the future I will update the game's art style to look much better, so the kobold will also fit much better. That would be it, so thank you for watching this longer than usual devlog, and see you in the next one.